So good evening, everyone. I'd like to warmly welcome all of our Stetson University College of Law friends and families, and most of all our graduates, to the 2018 graduate celebration. I'm Kristen Adams, a member of the faculty currently serving in the role of interim dean, and I'm so pleased that you're here today. This is a remarkable and very special evening. This is a chance for us to congratulate our graduates on everything they have already done during their time at the College of Law and the wonderful things we know they're going to be doing in the future. Graduates, today we celebrate a really important milestone as you finish this leg of your journey and launch into what we hope will be a very gratifying and exciting career in the law. I'm also here to give just a little plug for academic success in bar prep. You know, that final hurdle, the bar exam? They've asked me to remind you that they are very much here for you as you tackle that final hurdle. So I hope that you will reach out to them and let them be of assistance. Graduates, you are joining a wonderful and very proud profession that can have a dramatic impact on so many lives, and so many of you already have during your time at the College of Law. You can help to improve the world around you, and we know that you will. At Stetson, we're dedicated to instilling in our graduates a passion for serving their communities. Graduates, tonight we celebrate not only the skills that you have already honed and the ways in which you have already given back to our community, but also the ways in which we know you are going to give back in the future. We're very proud of the commitment that you have already demonstrated to professionalism and civility and ethics and respect for your colleagues. Tonight we celebrate the many accomplishments of our graduates who are part of our Stetson family not only now, but for a lifetime. Before we continue with the formal portion of our presentation, though, I'd like to recognize a few of our special guests. So Dr. Noel Painter, Executive Vice President and Provost, Rhea Law, Chair of the Board of Overseers, Amy Rigdon, President of the Stetson Lawyers Alumni Association, Dr. Tim Peter, Interim Dean of the School of Music, Josh Magidson, Member of the Board of Overseers and also the Board of Trustees, Dean and Professor of Law Emeritus Bruce Jacob. I didn't see Bruce come in, but I've heard he's back in town. So keep an eye out for him as our special celebrity. We are also enormously proud and honored to have with us tonight freedom writer Ernest Rip Patton. He's worked with our students. You may not know this, but we have been enormously privileged to have him work with the students in our civil rights course for a number of years now. And he's such an important part of what makes that course such a magical and transformative experience. Law School is very thankful also for the outstanding work of our associate and assistant deans, many of whom are here this evening. Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Professor of Law James Fox. Associate Dean for Faculty and Strategic Initiatives, Attorneys Title Insurance Fund Professor of Law and Co-Director of the Institute for Caribbean Law, Daryl Wilson. I had to take a deep breath before saying that. Assistant Dean for Student Affairs, Tammy Bryant. Our brand new Assistant Dean for Strategic Enrollment Management, Carla Davis Jamison. Assistant Dean for Development and Alumni Relations, Kevin Hughes. Assistant Dean for Administration and Decision Support, John Keyser. Assistant Dean for Career and Professional Development, Kathy Martin. Thank you so much to all of you for the wonderful work that you do. So next we will hear a special greeting from Provost Noel Painter, followed by Rhea Law and Amy Rigdon.
Well, good evening, everyone. You all are a nimble and enthusiastic group. I heard it as you came in. Very, very good. On behalf of President Wendy Libby and myself, I wanted to say congratulations and a few words about how happy we are to support you in celebrating your special accomplishments, the audacious goals that you have set, the way in which you have persevered toward those goals, the tenacity that has now resulted in the extraordinary achievement of graduating from law school. It's also a celebration for family and support groups who have encouraged you, lifted you, carried you, drew you back from the brink of despair, which may be a bit much, but is probably not. And for faculty, whose work is integrally entwined with your personal success at Stetson and in the years to come. There are graduates from across Stetson University, Bachelor of Music, Master of Accountancy, and many others who join you in the excitement of completing their degree requirements this December. One particularly excited group is the cohort of students who entered the inaugural class in our BA in Organizational Leadership program just 18 months ago. Their first graduation is this December. That program is designed to offer a Stetson undergraduate education to the large percentage of students nationwide who begin a bachelor's degree and for whatever reason, job, family, service, health, wanderlust, decide not to complete that degree. Statistics say that almost 40% of students who start in college do not finish. Now, I know that all the graduating students in this room are far beyond the undergraduate world, many of you now reaching the point 7, 8, 9 years of higher education coursework. But I bring up the first cohort of graduates from this new Stetson program in order to give us all a reminder of the road traveled. Last Friday, one student from the Organizational Leadership program emailed me out of the blue to tell me part of his Stetson story. And I'll read you part of his comments, and you might see if your journey is reflected in his words. He writes, I recently attended the PhD Project Conference in Chicago, Illinois, where I interviewed with 14 business schools, including Harvard, UConn, and New York, as a potential doctoral student for the fall of 19. As I sat across from my interviewers, two things were clear. The education that I received at Stetson University was superior to the candidates I was surrounded by, and the content that I learned about in my degree program made all of the difference. Countless interviewers made mention of the fact that their main applicants were from a management background which requires a master's degree. But I was viewed as the more prepared candidate. Dr. Painter, to say that being accepted to the PhD project was a dream come true is a vast understatement. I'm an adult student who by most was written off because I didn't have my degree at 22. 18 months ago, I took a leap. I responded to an ad which offered an adult like myself the ability to finish my degree. In those 18 months, I had doubts that I could finish. I lost a parent. I battled illness. I had a major injury, and my faithful service dog was diagnosed with terminal cancer. As I sit here writing this email, it is almost surreal to think that I am graduating in a few short weeks with Latin honors, and that a guy who lost his parent at 17 and began his educational journey working his way through a community college has earned a seat among the best of doctoral programs in the country. Although I would love to say that it was all me, the truth is there has been a team of advocates, mentors, instructors that gave me the tools to succeed, a shoulder to lean on, and a swift kick in the rear when I needed it. As a student, I think we often move on to the next thing and forget about all the people who got us here. In my final days at Stetson University, I thought it was important to recognize every person who made me a better student and a far better person. Thank you to each of the faculty who taught me. I learned from you. I found passion. I found myself. Each of you demonstrated understanding, humility, and compassion that I strive to give my students one day. I am here today not only because of my hard work, but because each of one of you. I am forever grateful, and as I continue my journey as a student, I want to recognize the impact of a great program, a great faculty, both of which have undoubtedly changed my life forever, and I am proud to be a Hatter. Powerful words to describe a powerful experience, life-changing, life-directing. It is my hope for all of you that the hard work, with the support of so many, pays off immensely, not only with money and success, though that is part of it, but with the ultimate success, which is happiness. Congratulations and best wishes for the next stage of your journey.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Overseers for Stetson University College of Law, I welcome each and every one of you to this 2018 fall celebration of your graduation. Just 39 years ago, I was in this very same ceremony in December, and I was filled with excitement, I was energized, and I was a little scared. But I saw this ceremony was really the culmination of a very intensive educational initiative. I saw this was the springboard to move on to a career that would be seen by all as having been a great accomplishment. I am so proud of each and every one of you because you're sitting here today having come to the end of your educational experience and now moving on to the actual practice of law. So congratulations. Today you receive your reward for all of that hard work. Together with the thousands of others who have come before you, tonight you are being inducted into a special group of people. They're called lawyers. And despite the jokes and the derogatory remarks that you may hear, it is an honorable profession. We are guided by a code of professional conduct. It sets the framework for the ethical practice of law. But we have a higher duty, and that is a duty to always have the profession at the highest of standards. And the very success of our profession moving forward is dependent upon that. As said in the code, neglect of these responsibilities compromises the independence of the profession and the public interest that it serves. So graduates, as you leave today, be confident in your newfound skills and be proud of what you've learned from your Stetson experience. This is what's going to help you pursue your practice of law as you move forward. And finally, you need to know that what you're achieving today, it was because of your hard work, it was because of your perseverance, it was because of your grit and your determination, but it was also because the faculty members of this university believed in you. And because of that, today, you believe in yourself. So supported by this college, strengthened by your values, driven by curiosity, and empowered by the entire community around you, the only question is, how far can you go? And the answer that I hope you never forget is there is no limit. Congratulations and well done.
Good evening. My name is Amy Rigdon, and I have the privilege and the honor to serve as the president of the Stetson Lawyers Alumni Association. And it is with great pride tonight that I welcome our graduates today as new Stetson Law alumni. To the family and the friends of their graduates, we all know how much your love and support helped each of these graduates make it to this moment. And we thank you for the role that you played in this accomplishment. And thank you for being here today to join us in this celebration. Graduates, well done. Take pride in this accomplishment. You worked extremely hard for this moment. You persevered and pushed through challenges on days when your job or your family seemed to conflict impossibly with school. There were days, I'm sure, where it seemed like the conflicts were just impossible to survive. Yet, you always found a way. You found a way to attend class after working perhaps a long day at work. You found a way to study late into the night to prepare for the next class so that you wouldn't have to sacrifice your time with family. That extremely hard work and that perseverance is remarkable. It's that mental grit that will make you successful lawyers in the future. If you weren't too busy studying, particularly for exams, I know that just ended, you may have heard in the press recently about the challenges in the legal profession and the challenges that lawyers personally face. I'd like to take a moment to speak to those. I'm 10 years into practice now, and I can say that the practice of law has challenges. Client demands are ever present. the adversarial nature of our work can feel defeating at times. And with 24/7 technology, there is always more to do. But I promise that there are amazing opportunities in this profession you've chosen. And there are great days where you share in the victories with your clients and you take on projects that bring yourself and your community pride. But in those challenging times, what I like to call the dark days, remember this moment, remember this accomplishment. Take strength from the fact that you've overcome challenges in the past and you have the mental grit to do it again. And as equally important as your own mental fortitude is the fact that you have a support system. Look around you. Right now around you is your network of people and colleagues that have encouraged you and supported you up to this moment. And they will certainly do it again. Moreover, you now have the Stetson Law Alumni Network. You're joining a highly regarded group of professionals here locally, across the state, and nationwide. In fact, we are 10,800 alumni strong, residing in over 55 countries. We have 11 active alumni chapters in the state, as well as Atlanta, DC, and New York, and we're growing. These are a group of professionals who are dedicated to their clients, to our community, and upholding the highest standards of honesty and professionalism. Our alumni include judges, presidents of sports teams, attorney generals, politicians, as well as renowned practitioners. What will you add to this list? So take advantage of this new network and the opportunities it provides to keep you connected to your current classmates, as well as to form new relationships with our other Stetson Law alumni, wherever it is you're headed. An alumni network is more than just charitable donations. Alumni share your experiences, know your desires, and we want to see each other and the Stetson brand shine bright. Lean on us in those dark days. And on behalf of the Stetson Lawyers Alumni Association, I welcome you to the Stetson Lawyers family. Congratulations.
This is the part of the program where we have the opportunity to proudly recognize our graduates. So some instructions for the grads. Graduates, please remain seated until a Stetson staff member instructs the first person in your row to stand. You will then exit your row to the left and line up in the order in which you are seated. After your name is called, please come forward and let me congratulate you, and we'll take a couple of photographs. Link to those will be on the College of Law website. I would now like to invite Dean Fox and Dean Bryant to come forward and call each graduate's name and tell you a little bit about their respective honors and accomplishments, which are many. This is a wonderful group.
It is our pleasure to present the Fall 2018 degree candidates for the Master of Laws in Advocacy. Tracy Teray Reese with honors. Tracy would like to thank God for the opportunity to graduate law school not once, but twice. The first was with her JD and now with her LLM. We also recognize the following graduates in absentia. Christina Adora Anderson with honors, Charles E. Moore Jr. with honors, Jose Luis Salvador. The Fall 2018 degree candidates for the Master of Laws in Elder Law, all in absentia. Aaron Cardenas, Cynthia Wright Harrison, Suzanne Jolene Luker with honors, Linda Marion Shashinka, Donald Edward Whitmire with honors. the Fall 2018 degree candidates for the Master of Laws in International Law, Edward Allen Brock. We also recognize the following graduates in absentia: Mohammed El-Amin Atta Amin Mohammed, Christopher Joseph Stratton. Now it is our pleasure to present the Fall 2018 Juris Doctor degree candidates. Brittany Ann Atwell with honors. Brittany is a William F. Blues Pro Bono Service Award recipient, a Stetson Ambassador, and a Stetson Law Review Assistant Executive Editor. She is proud of her academic accomplishments, including receiving an award for the best write-on paper for the Stetson Law Review and the opportunity to intern this past semester at the Florida Supreme Court. She also thanks her family and boyfriend for all of their support the past 3.5 years.
Ashley Elizabeth Beatty, in absentia. Ashley is a recipient of the William F. Blues Pro Bono Service Award.
Michael Anthony Brown II, in absentia.
Brandon Edward Bushway, with honors. Brandon has been a guardian ad litem volunteer since his first semester at Stetson and is a recipient of the Graham Carruthers Award for Excellence in Public Service and Charity dedicated to underprivileged children. Brandon would like to thank his family, friends, and professors for their support.
Richard Mason Coates.
Paul Andrew Cox, JD MBA, in absentia.
Cameron Douglas Deal. Cameron is a Student Bar Association representative and Student Leadership Development Certificate recipient. He would like to thank his fiancée, Carrie, who had to watch Netflix by herself so many nights while he was away at class.
Adam Easley, in absentia.
Melissa Elaine Attell, in absentia.
Sandrine Louise Gez, with honors. Sandrine was a member of the Honors Program, a Stetson Law Review Digest writer, and is a recipient of the William F. Blues Pro Bono Service Award.
Kevin Lawrence Hinson, in absentia. Kevin is a recipient of the William F. Blues Pro Bono Service Award.
Ashley Y. McGinnis. Ashley transferred to Stetson Law during her 2L year. While at Stetson, she received the highest grade in some classes and was the Victor O'Whaley Award recipient for excellence in trial advocacy. Ashley would like to thank her fiancé, Ryan, for all his love and support during law school.
Ahmed Zain Mohammed, with honors. Ahmed is a member of the Dispute Resolution Board and a Stetson Law Review Recent Developments editor. Ahmed is 21 and graduating at the top of his class. After his first summer of law school, he became a patent agent. In his second year, he was a law review editor and represented Stetson internationally at the VIS competition. Now he is in medical school. He credits his amazing mom for everything.
Veronica Elise Ullinger, in absentia.
Iris Padron. Iris would like to thank her professors and Judge Hellinger for the great experience she received here, Mike for helping her get to law school, and her dad, Lynette, and Sarah for being there for her since day one and supporting her throughout the process. Finally, she would love to thank her son, Jeremiah. She is graduating for JJ.
Marco Antonio Pagnanelli. Marco thanks all of his instructors for providing their enthusiasm and quality instruction on difficult subjects. He thanks the library support staff who willingly walked the second mile to assist his learning efforts. Marco also likes to thank the technical support group for consistently providing great help.
Andrew Lewis Probst, in absentia.
Jacqueline Ann Ryder, in absentia.
Patricia Sandoval. Patricia would like to thank God, her family who have put up with her all these years. She loves you and your support has made this possible. Thanks to her pastors and church, they have supported her throughout. To Tony, her dear friend, you have been an important part of this journey.
Todd Patrick Scholl with honors, in absentia. Todd is a Student Bar Association representative and member of the Student Leadership Development Committee. He also received the Student Leadership Development Certificate and the William F. Blues Pro Bono Service Award.
Stephanie Christina Stein.
Michael Benjamin Stone.
Ashley Victoria Thornton. Ashley is receiving a certificate of concentration in advocacy. She served as Student Bar Association Treasurer, Student Bar Association Representative, and is a Student Leadership Development Certificate recipient. Ashley would like to thank Professor Scully for introducing her to the world of criminal justice and being an incredible mentor throughout her law school experience. Professor Picard for aiding in the production of her guidebook and hiring her as a teaching assistant, and her parents and their love and support.
Emily Taylor Walsh. Emily would like to thank her mom and sister, Ashley, for all their advice, love, and support.
John W. Webster, in absentia. John served as a Student Bar Association representative.
Mark J. Wolfson with honors.
And one final round of applause for all of the students.
And just another congratulations, graduates, on your wonderful accomplishments. One of the really special aspects of our December graduate celebration is that the graduates have an opportunity to select a member of the faculty to address them. And so in just a few moments, I'm going to call up Professor Mark Bauer, one of our wonderful colleagues, to deliver his address. And I know that the graduates all know Professor Bauer, but it occurred to me that some others in the audience might not know about him and might not know what it is that makes him such a wonderful and esteemed colleague. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about him. So by way of introduction, Professor Bauer teaches antitrust and administrative law, property law, consumer law, and also financial advocacy, which is a really special course. That's actually a course that Professor Bauer designed himself to teach our students not only how to advise their clients with respect to financial matters that involve law, but also for our graduates themselves to be better equipped to handle their own financial matters. It's been an enormously popular course. He's also active in our externships. He supervises our Elder Consumer Protection externship and also our federal agency externship. He served as our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs from 2009 to 2011. He has been a very, very active and well-published scholar. He has written in all of the areas in which he teaches, plus in addition to that, higher education and elder law, and is a frequent and very well-regarded speaker and lecturer in each of those areas. He has taught international and comparative competition law in Stetson's semester abroad programs around the world and has taught global aging law in the Netherlands. He was a visiting scholar at Queen Mary, University of London. He has been a senior international fellow and visiting scholar at the University of Melbourne in Australia, was a distinguished international fellow at the Canadian Centre for Elder Law. He's also won many, many awards, and I'll just name a few of those. He was awarded Stetson's Branton Excellence in Teaching Award. He received the Homer and Dolly Hand Award for Faculty Scholarship in 2017. And he's been enormously supportive of both the Center for Excellence in Elder Law and the Center for Excellence in Higher Education Law and Policy through his speaking and research. He's also been very active on the national scene. He served as chair of the Education Law and also Aging and the Law sections for the American Association of Law Schools. He was a member of the steering committee for the Southeastern Association of Law Schools. And I am confident that you will find his remarks to be inspiring and insightful. And you will understand when you hear him speak why our graduates selected him to address them this evening. Professor Bauer.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Provost Painter, Trustee Magidson, Overseer Law, Deans Adams and Peter, SLA President Rigdon, my colleagues on the faculty, and most importantly, December 2018 graduates and family and friends of the graduates. Welcome. What a great honor it is. I'm still overwhelmed by that introduction. What a great honor. What a great honor it is to be asked by the graduating class to speak today. After all, most of the courses that I teach are required, so I'm not used to people listening to me voluntarily. I will do my best to live up to that challenge. Now, I have no illusions regarding commencement or this speech. After finishing their last set of finals, the graduates would probably have happily gone straight to the beach or at least to Caddy's. So let's be honest, graduates, the reason that you are here today is for the pleasure of your family and friends who are ecstatic that this is finally over. They've been there for you from your first R&W memo to that seminar or independent study paper that maybe you shouldn't have waited until your last semester to complete. You graduates have reached an important milestone in your lives, but You're also here today to allow your loved ones to share in your celebration and accomplishments. So I heartily congratulate all you graduates on this wonderful day, but I thank you, family and friends, for putting up with them for the past 3 or 4 years and helping make this day possible. So if you will all indulge me for a moment, graduates, if you would mind standing up and turning around and applauding those who are here with you today. You deserve it. So, since I'm a law professor, of course I did a lot of research before writing this speech. I read a lot of graduation speeches where the speakers attempted to pass on pearls of wisdom, and frankly, of the scores of speeches that I reviewed, only one piece of advice really stuck out, and I'm going to repeat that right now. Graduates, always wear sunscreen. We're in Florida, and we need to be careful. So I knew when I accepted this that I wanted to speak about the rule of law and its critical importance to the lives we lead in the United States. And I'll be honest, as dry as it sounds, the rule of law is something that I think about every single day now, and sometimes it keeps me up at night. So for those who haven't spent the past 3 or 4 years studying here, what is the rule of law? Well, essentially it's the government's obligation to follow neutral principles so that law is consistently applied and fairly to all people in all situations. So in the 4th century BC, the Greek philosopher Aristotle said that it is more proper that the law should govern than any one of its citizens. The rule of law's roots in the United States go back to 1215, when England's King John signed the Magna Carta. Magna Carta made it clear that no one is above the law, including the king. So let's try a simpler explanation recently given by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. He said there's an apocryphal story of 2 police officers who pull over a car for speeding. As per policy, one officer walks to the driver's window while her partner stands behind the car. As the first officer approached the car, the driver rolls down the window and leans out and angrily says, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" The second officer hears the commotion and asks his partner, "Is there a problem here?" The first officer says, "Yes, there is. We apparently have a driver here and he doesn't know who he is." So the rule of law is in the DNA of the United States. In 1770, a group of British soldiers fired into a crowd of colonists, killing 5 people. We remember that as the Boston Massacre, which was one of the precipitating incidents of the American Revolution. But what happened to those British soldiers? Well, despite calls for their immediate execution, the 8 soldiers were indicted and tried. 2 were found guilty of manslaughter, but 6 were acquitted. The British soldiers were defended by John Adams, a patriot who went on to sign the Declaration of Independence and became the 2nd president of the United States. For those who are fans of the attorney Atticus Finch in the novel To Kill a Mockingbird, you can see it's part of a long tradition of Americans supporting the rule of law, even if it meant putting themselves in harm's way to defend our way of life. Retired Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor said that commitment to the rule of law provides a basic assurance that people can know what to expect. That means that the rule of law allows us to plan our lives, achieve our aspirations, and live in relative prosperity knowing the same rules apply to all of us. Let me be even more specific and expand on what Justice O'Connor said. We are fortunate to be in the United States because of the security and liberties that prior generations have fought to protect. We are also very fortunate to be in the United States because of the security of the World Economic Order that the United States and its allies imposed upon the rest of the world after World War II. The United States dollar is the world trading currency, meaning that everyone buys everything in dollars, and then each nation converts back to their own currency. That adds transaction costs for everyone else, and it means that we buy goods and services from other countries at a discount. Who doesn't love a sale? The world invests in American companies, stocks and bonds, and real estate, all helping to secure our economy and in general terms making us all a little bit richer. The rest of the world invests in the United States, asks to have cases decided under our laws, and buys US dollars because we are the most stable and secure nation in the world. Why is that? Because the rest of the world knows that the rule of law here is followed with consistency and fairness. There are exceptions, there are mistakes, but this country is about the rule of law. Business can invest with confidence. Innovators can receive protection for their discoveries. Even alleged criminals have the rule of law protecting them that we withhold judgment until we've heard from all parties and complete a fair process. When you follow the rule of law, it doesn't always yield an outcome that you want. In fact, one of the indicators that you're following the rule of law is when you respect a result even though you don't agree with it. You respect it because it's dictated by the facts and the law. No, the United States is not perfect, and neither are any of us. There is injustice, and not all Americans have benefited equally from the post-war economic system that we created. But consider what President Dwight D. Eisenhower said about the rule of law, which is, the clearest way to show what the rule of law means to us every day is to recall what happened when there is no rule of law. Recently retired Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy said that when a country follows the rule of law, if you apply to a government clerk for a permit and you satisfy the objective criteria, you're not asking the clerk to do you a favor. You are entitled to that permit, and it's the clerk's duty to give it to you. But this concept of a government bound by law to serve the people is not universal. 10 years ago, I taught for 2 summers in Argentina. One topic I taught was an American law called the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. It essentially states that Americans cannot bribe foreign officials. After class, a student told me about his life in Argentina. He said that if you can't pay bribes, how do you get a driver's license or a building permit? He said he couldn't even get electricity or cable television without a bribe. Now, Argentina is a beautiful country, and it was one of the wealthiest countries in the world until populists dismantled the rule of law. But we don't have to go back in history to look at the terrible consequences that comes with the erosion of the rule of law. This is 2018, and wealthy industrialized countries don't need tanks and troops marching down the capital streets in order to take control and end the rule of law. These matters are handled much more elegantly and insidiously in these modern times. Elections continue to happen, the press allegedly remains free, but real democracy wanes. In Poland, the current government has added to the number of judges, packing the courts with agreeable partisans. In the Polish Supreme Court, the government created a new mandatory retirement age which forced out 25% of the current justices, and at the same time they expanded the overall number by 30%, allowing the government to create an almost entirely new Supreme Court favorable to its political agenda. In Hungary, there is still purportedly a free press, but the government has used the licensing of telecommunications companies and antitrust laws controlling mergers to put almost all television stations and newspaper outlets in the hands of persons friendly to the government or directly connected to it. In Romania, the leader of the party receiving the most votes in parliament has twice been convicted on corruption and vote rigging charges. Accordingly then, with the view that the country's only real problems are its overzealous prosecutors, the government fired all the top prosecutors and then passed legislation preventing future prosecutors from following up with that sort of investigation. Graduates, look around you. Some of you will be taking jobs in the state and federal governments as prosecutors. Sure, for some people, a job is a job. But I know most of you going to work for the government are doing so in part because you believe in public service, in doing your part for the United States, and in making sure that we follow the rule of law. When I was graduated from law school, I was both fortunate and honored to work for the U.S. Department of Justice and after 2 years for the Federal Trade Commission. The lawyers I worked with, without exception, were some of the finest and most principled litigators I've ever met. There were some like me who hoped to balance out a career in public service with work at a big law firm. That's how I paid off my student loans. But the only question I ever heard from in government service in 2 high-profile government agencies was, what does the law say we have to do here? Now, it's not just me. Look at Professors Bean, Boudreau, Gardner, Flowers, Palmer, Rose, Simcox, Varelli. We were all attorneys working for the federal government, and be honest, do we look like we're part of the so-called deep state? Sometimes I think it could have been like my 9th or 10th grade experiences where I heard these rumors that there were parties going on, but I wasn't invited to any of them. I still don't think they really existed. I know the overwhelming majority of attorneys working for the government are just trying to earn a living and contribute to the good of the nation at the same time. Just a few years ago, cable news and newspaper articles started doing something brand new that I had never seen before. I noticed it because it was so shocking to me. They started not just to refer to federal judges, but they added the additional language appointed by President Reagan, appointed by President Clinton, is those that were somehow the reason for their decision. More recently, the practice by the media and politicians has devolved into simply noting whether the judge was appointed by a Democrat or a Republican. I fear that in the not too distant future, the media and politicians will begin referring to federal judges directly as Republicans or Democrats, and that's just unacceptable. I've also noticed the media and politicians have begun looking at the records of attorneys and particularly prosecutors in high-profile matters, hoping to find something that suggests bias and creates controversy. So a lot of you were in my administrative law class, so you may recall that the Supreme Court has held that people who are experts in their field are not supposed to be devoid of opinion or political belief. You can't become an expert prosecutor or a federal judge without having developed some opinions over the years. The only question is whether your opinions will create what the Supreme Court called a will to win. Prosecutors and judges can have political views and even vote in elections, just like the rest of us. All we require is that their work be based on facts and the rule of law. Most of them do that every day without attention and without publicity. Now, referring to judges as Republicans or Democrats may not sound like a big deal, but it's really just another chink in the armor that the rule of law uses to protect us all. Our liberty is not only protected by the text of the Constitution, but also by cultural norms. Even subtle jabs, like suggesting that federal judges are nothing but politicians, degrades the rule of law and our faith in the United States. Our loss of faith in ourselves could soon be followed by the rest of the world losing faith in the United States as a shining beacon of liberty, fairness, and equity under the law. And there would be terrible consequences for all of us if that happened. It's one thing to have unshakable confidence in the United States. It's quite another to believe that consistent attacks on the integrity of the rule of law will not damage our institutions. So, since we're in Central Florida, I have no problem using a Disney reference here. Remember Peter Pan and Tinkerbell? I actually hadn't until I started thinking about this. Well, Peter Pan said that every time a child says that he or she doesn't believe in fairies, one dies. Now, I'm not suggesting Peter Pan as nonfiction, but there's really something to that. Banks, for example, are only required to keep about 10% of their assets on hand. If we all wanted our money at once, the bank would fail, every single one of them. The banking system works in part because we all believe in it. The rule of law isn't all that different. It works because we believe, but for the exception of some errors, the law of the United States is applied fairly and it's applied consistently. Once we start questioning the integrity of our courts and judges and prosecutors without any basis in fact, the rule of law dies, at least just a little bit. So this is the audience participation part. To steal from Peter Pan, if you believe in the rule of law, clap your hands. Former Attorney General Robert Jackson once said that lawyers do more than earn a living. We do more than litigate individual cases. We are building the legal structure that will protect human liberty for generations to come. That's the core duty of lawyers. You're building a legacy, whether you realize it or not. You're always building a legacy. You help and explain and enforce rules for your clients. You set an example for your colleagues. In doing so, you lay a foundation for the next generation of lawyers. And every day you build and revitalize the rule of law as you protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone has to be best friends or that the practice of law has remained genteel. But I am saying that lawyers need to keep some perspective even during a dispute. The same applies to politics. Around this room, there is undoubtedly a great diversity of political opinion. And that isn't a weakness. That's the strength of America and the rule of law. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes referred to this as the great marketplace of ideas. Our different views create competition for the best ideas to move forward. Respect this diversity. Your opponents in a case or on a political issue are not your mortal enemies. These are your classmates and friends, colleagues and neighbors. Whether you face them in court or on opposing sides of politics, they are citizens sharing an admirable system that should treat every participant with dignity and respect. If you have something to prove, then do it through professionalism, excellence, and integrity, and let the best ideas win out. I often find myself thinking about something that Abraham Lincoln said because it applied to the practice of law, but it also applies to American politics. Lincoln said, love these words, Lincoln said, discourage litigation, persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. Point out to them how the nominal winner is often a real loser in fees, expenses, and just waste of time. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has a superior opportunity of being a good man. There will still be business enough. So those are my pearls of wisdom. And if I had to sum it all up, I'd remind you to wear sunscreen. That being said, congratulations again to our wonderful December 2018 graduates and to all of those who've supported them in the milestone that they've reached today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Bauer. I always learn something listening to you. Before we close and head into our reception, I'd like to make sure to recognize several very special groups that contribute in an important and special way to our success as an institution and to your success as Stetson graduates. And the first group is our faculty. If my faculty colleagues would please stand to be recognized. I am enormously thankful and privileged to count myself among that wonderful community of educators. I'd also like to thank our staff and our administrative team for their excellence and attention to detail. I'm so thankful that Professor Bauer mentioned our graduate support systems. You guys, we know, have been essential to bringing our graduates to this day today. And knowing that we have already recognized you, I think we should do it again. Let's recognize our graduate support systems. Graduates, this day is about you. Please, if you would, stand so that we can congratulate you as a group. Graduates, I wish you all the success in the world in entering this wonderful and noble profession and in your success in the journey that lies ahead. We have a wonderful reception across the way if you would join us in continuing your celebration there and also letting those of us who are on the faculty and staff say thank you to you for sharing these graduates with us over the last number of years. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.